Good evening and welcome to the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce Newport Chamber Honors event. This event tonight is going to celebrate the accomplishments of our Citizen of the Year, Nancy Gardner, and our very first Business Person of the Year, Jim Walker, owner of the Bungalow Restaurant in Corona Del Mar. As you can see behind me, people are gathering. It's going to be an exciting event. We've got more than a couple hundred people that are going to show up to honor both Jim and Nancy for their accomplishments and all their years of service to the Newport Beach business community, as well as the residents here in Newport Beach. So Jim Walker, how does it feel to be the Chamber of Commerce's very first Business Person of the Year?
Well, obviously it's a very unique experience, and there's been no real guidelines, but it's fabulous. You know, it's just been amazing to me, the amount of people that have contacted me, and it's humbling, and it's something that I'll appreciate the rest of my life. So it's been a great experience so far. Good.
Have you seen any uptick in business at the Bungalow Restaurant?
We've seen a lot of people that have charged their meals and put it on my tab.
Uh-oh.
And so, it's been great. You know, they said, put it on the Business Person of the Year. No, it's kind of hard to tell, but what I have seen is a lot of people that, when I'm there, recognize me and congratulate me, and that's been really nice.
You got to get a big banner for the front that says, Home of the Business Person of the Year.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to kick off here in a little bit, and congratulations to you.
Thank
I think
you.
You and how you've conducted your business is fulfilled every criteria that we had for Business Person of the Year, and I'm happy to be your friend, happy to be a patron of the Bungalow, and happy to be here as President of the Chamber of Commerce, welcoming in to this what hopefully will be a very unique and very elite group of people in years to come.
Well, thank you, and thanks again, Steve, for all of your support and for the support of the Newport Beach Chamber.
My pleasure. Okay, Nancy Gardner, what do you think? Citizen of the Year, how about that?
It's sort of daunting. You look at my predecessors, some of them, it's big shoes to fill.
No, I don't think your dad was Citizen of the Year,
Yes,
was he?
he was.
Was he?
We are the first
I know, it was a trick
father-daughter.
question. Yes, you are the first father-daughter team, so congratulations.
Cool.
There were 3 Beaks, though, I noticed on the
Oh, were
list.
there?
So you gotta get somebody in your family recruited up here to start doing some stuff. But no, you come from obviously a very long history of involvement, not only by yourself, but back to your father and maybe your grandfather before that. I don't know.
No, he was in Wyoming.
He was in Wyoming. Okay, well, he probably volunteered back there doing something. But we served together on City Council, and I appreciated sitting up there on the dais with you and working together with you. And I'm happy to be here tonight to help honor you for all your accomplishments. I mean, as much as I've done in the city, you've done way more than I have.
Well, I just want to say one thing that I think people don't often realize, in that when we were on the council, we had at one point we're on very different sides of an issue.
We were.
City Hall.
Just only one, though, I think. Yeah.
But it made no difference in the sense of being able to work together, because I knew that you thought wrong, maybe, but I knew that you really believed that was in the best interest of the city. And I just want to say that when council members can feel that confidence, then even when you disagree, it's not a problem. It's when you feel that somebody's voting for maybe reasons that aren't necessarily in the interest of the city, but in their own interest.
Hence Washington, D.C.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that was one of the reasons I so enjoyed the council, because we really had each other's backs, because we felt that way.
That's true. I can honestly say that out of all 7 of us, I never thought anybody was there for their own self-interest, that everybody had the best interest of the city at heart. I mean, we served on council. I know you do a lot of other things before and after that, and I, do a couple things, but
you do Pick a Pet. Let's not forget
Pick a Pet. I know. Sometimes I go back and watch those episodes. They're still on MBTV, people. I did 100 episodes of that, but no. And now you've taken it up, being on the Friends of the Newport Beach Animal Shelter. So it's great that you're here tonight, and we're happy to celebrate your accomplishments and recognize you for all that you've done for our city. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It's lovely that you've done all this work to put it on.
Yeah. Well, let's see what we'll stay tuned, I guess,
right.
and we'll see what
We will.
happens.
We
Okay.
will. Big radio.
We got a few secrets here.
Uh-oh.
Few, just a few.
Uh-oh.
So good evening, I'm Steve Rosansky, President and CEO of the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to the fabulous Balboa Bay Resort and our first Newport Chamber Honors Dinner. This event continues to celebrate our long-running tradition of honoring our Newport Beach Citizen of the Year, which this year is special as we are adding longtime resident, former mayor, and community champion Nancy Gardner to the esteemed list of past recipients. However, this year we're adding a new component that seems very appropriate for a Chamber of Commerce, and I don't know why we haven't done it in the 112 years I think we've been in existence. Recognition of our Business Person of the Year, who just so happens to be another community champion in his own right, Jim Walker. In preparing for tonight's event, I was looking at the list of past Citizen of the Year honorees, which dates back to 1949, and realized that this is the 70th anniversary of the Citizen of the Year Award. The list is sprinkled with names that you would still know today, like Irvine, Beek, Hogue, and Lusk. So I did a little research on our very first recipient, and his name was Robert, quote, Bob Murphy. So Bob, we donated our chamber archives long ago to the Sherman Library. So I called up Mr. Sherman Library, Paul Wormser. I don't know if you know Paul, but he's over there archiving everything. I said, Paul, I need some information on this Robert Murphy guy. So, as you would expect, he got back to me right away. And so it turns out that Bob was the owner of the Rendezvous Ballroom. He also owned the Bamboo Room, which was apparently some bar down there in Balboa. Yeah, there it is. That's the Bamboo Room up there. And he had some other distinctions. Bob was also a chamber member, as you would expect. He was a founding trustee of the Newport Harbor Elks Club. He was also a charter member of the Newport Harbor Kiwanis Club. And the article I read about him was that ultimately they named him Mr. Balboa. So he was a very prominent citizen back in the day. I think when he died, actually, several years after he got the award, and I was reading his obituary, and it was interesting because it said the Elks Club did the rituals. So I don't know what the Elks Club rituals were, but they did them back for Bob back in 1952. So thank you, Bob, for making Balboa what it was and is today. So unfortunately, Bob Murphy is only here in spirit with us tonight, but we do have a number of past Citizen of the Year recipients joining us. If I could ask you to stand or wave and be recognized as I call your name. Debbie Snavely, 2018. Homer Bludow, 2017. Paul Watkins, 2015. So we lost Jack Skinner this past year, but we're grateful that his wife and co-winner in 2014, Nancy Skinner, can be with us. Former Councilwoman Jean Watt, 2013. Tom Johnson, 2011. Former Mayor Evelyn Hart, 2007. Seymour Beek, 2005. Scott Paulson, 2003. Dana Pettit, 2001. Dana's so cute. Every year she calls me up 6 months in advance and says, I want a table to this event, and I want a good table. Is this a good table, Dana? Okay, I get the Dana seal of approval. 6 months before, seriously. Former Mayor Tom Edwards, 2000. Former Mayor Clarence Bus Turner, 1999. Former Mayor Rush Hill, 1997. Jim Dale, 1991. And Bill Hamilton, 1989. 30 years ago. Wow, that's a long time, Bill. I'd also like to welcome Thais O'Neill, tonight, wife of Dennis O'Neill, who is our 2006 Citizen of the Year. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize some of the VIPs joining us this evening. And again, if you can please stand or wave when I call your name. Our mayor's with us tonight, Diane Dixon. City Council Member Jeff Herdman. Council Member Joy Brenner. Whoa, Joy, you got a cheering club out there. Council Member Brad Avery. Former Mayor Ed Selich. Former Mayor Mike Henn. Former Mayor Don Webb. Former Mayor Pro Tem Tony Petros. Former Mayor Pro Tem Leslie Daigle. City Manager Grace Leung. City Attorney Aaron Harp. City Clerk Leilani Brown. Community Development Director Simone Jurgis. I'm only halfway through. Former City Manager, he gets the fluent, the longest, farthest away, Dave Kiff. Dave. Dave survived the fires up there in Healdsburg, right? Healdsburg? Yeah, it got close, but he's unsinged. Your clothes did smell a little smoky, though, Dave. I don't know. Finance Commissioner, or Finance Committee Member Joe Stapleton. And Finance Committee Member Larry Tucker is with us. Harbor Commissioner Paul Blank. Civil Service Board Member Sharon Wood. The 2019-2020 Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce Board Chairman Sam El Raba. The 2019-2020 skipper of the Commodores Club, Tim Shields. Lots of Commodores here tonight. They're wearing the red ties with the sailboats on them. Mesa Water District Director, Maris De Pasquale. And President of Newport Beach and Company, Gary Sherwin. So, almost every day, I'm out and about town. People ask me, Steve, how is the chamber doing? And so my usual answer is, it's scary good. Okay, scary good. Most of our major events continue to be sellouts. Membership in the last year and a half has grown from a low of about 600 to a high of almost 700. We continue to be recognized as one of the most trusted community leadership groups, as well as an effective advocate for the Newport Beach business community, as well as a civic supporter, bar none. We couldn't do things like this without the support of our members, as well as a special group of companies called our Leadership Circle. The full list of Leadership Circle companies is printed on the back of your programs, but I did want to recognize our platinum level and gold level members. So first, our platinum is Hoag Health Network. Come on, a little applause for Hoag. We're all going to be there someday. You might as well give them some applause, right? Balboa Bay Resort. We're here now, so give them some support. Newport Beach and Company. The Newport Beach Marriott Hotel and Spa. City of Hope. And ACI Jet. Our gold members are Picoco LLC, the Newport Beach Police Association, West Coast Arborists, and Wells Fargo Bank. Round of applause for our gold members. And we'd also like to thank our silver sponsors on the screen and listed in your programs. And although they're not officially a Leadership Circle member, I do want to thank the City of Newport Beach and the City Council and the City staff. We couldn't do what we do without the backing and support of the council members, the staff, and not only financially, but just being here at our event makes it that much more special. So thank you, City of Newport Beach. Come on. Round of applause for the City of Newport Beach. So an event like this takes a lot of support, and I'd also like to thank some other important organizations that help make the evening special. Of course, Balboa Bay Resort, we just mentioned them, for hosting the gala this evening. I'd like to thank Hyde Park Jewelers, which you probably all know as Traditional Jewelers, for designing and donating the beautiful gold and diamond official Citizen of the Year pin for our honoree. I'd also like to thank Ed Olin, who worked with us to prepare the video presentations we're going to have a little bit later. Yeah, let's give a round of applause for Ed. He films a lot of shows around town. Hardworking. So is Luis back. Oh, how about a round of applause for Luis back there? He never gets any applause. He's our videographer tonight from MBTV. And finally, I'd like to thank our table sponsors listed on the screen and in your programs. Without you folks supporting the event, there'd be 10 of us in the room. So thank you, table sponsors. So that's all I have right now. We'll be back shortly after you had a time to eat dinner and chat with your table mates, and then we'll get on with the program. So see you in a bit. Thanks. I hope everybody enjoyed their dinner. How about a round of applause for our servers here tonight? Balboa Bay Resort. Delicious short rib dinner. Is everybody getting their dessert? Okay. So now we're going to move towards our awards portion of the evening. To kick things off, I'd like to please welcome Mayor of Newport Beach, Diane Dixon.
Well, hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce. This is, again, a lovely, lovely event that we're all here for some special people. So I want to share my thoughts about these special people. 70 years, you mentioned 70 years. I, too, looked at the material you had and saw the 1949. It's for the past 70 years, our past and present community leaders have come together to recognize and celebrate the unique achievements of our fellow citizens. Tonight we repeat a remarkable milestone for our community, because tonight we repeat a remarkable 70-year tradition that exemplifies the value we as Newporters place on citizen involvement and leadership in our extraordinary city. But tonight, a new tradition begins with the recognition also of the Business Person of the Year. As your mayor, I have some observations I'd like to share with you. We have some extraordinary people in our community, don't we? Yes. And what do extraordinary people do? They say, yes, I will do it. And then they go do it. They organize, they meet, they coordinate, they create a group or organization. They formalize the organization so it can define and meet its objectives in a business-like manner. They often raise money to support an issue. They engage their friends and colleagues. They start a campaign. They may even run for office or serve on a board or commission. They engage city council and other community leaders and civic groups. They write letters to the editors, to city council, and they come to the city council to speak about a matter multiple times. These extraordinary people advocate, they push, they persevere. And inch by inch, project by project, they change our community for the better. And this is what outstanding citizens do. Tonight we are honoring and celebrating two individuals, the only people in the history of Newport Beach who have been so honored. Only 74, I counted the number of people who have been honored. A couple of times there were 2 years in a row. I mean, they skipped a year. 74 people in the history of Newport Beach have been so honored. Their achievements are so noteworthy, our honorees this evening, that 220 citizens, all of us, are here tonight to show our support and appreciation. So thank you, Nancy and Jim, for giving your time, your talent, and treasure to make our community and our lives the best they can be. And in so doing, we are reminded once again why we are blessed to live in Newport Beach. And so on behalf of the City Council, let me express to you our deep gratitude for the commitment you both have made to our city, which has contributed in so many ways to our extraordinary quality of life. Whether it's cleaner beaches and parks, elected public service, far-sighted land use planning, happy four-legged animal friends, or dining experiences, restaurant enterprises, and business associations that promote the best in Orange County, Your relentless and unstoppable dedication to the cause of making a great community even better has earned your honored place in the pantheon of Newport Beach Citizens and Business Person of the Year, where only, as I mentioned, 74 people in 70 years have been so recognized. So Nancy and Jim, we salute you, we honor you, and we thank you so very much for what you have done for our community.
Thank you, Mayor Dixon. So we're about ready to embark on the next portion of our program here with our presentations. But I forgot one little factoid earlier about our distinguished first Citizen of the Year, Robert Bob Murphy. So if you were at the Rendezvous Ballroom, you probably knew how to dance the Balboa. Is that true? That was a nationwide dance or something I heard. And so the only person who actually still knows how to dance the Balboa is Rush Hill, who I'm going to ask to come up here. Come on, Rush, you can come up here. We got to get Rush going quickly because Linda said he's got to be home by his bedtime. So let me present 1997 Citizen of the Year, former mayor, my good friend, co-host of Wake Up Newport and the Government Affairs Committee, Rush Hill.
Well, I kind of feel like the mosquito that flies over the hill and spots a nudist colony. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just not sure where to begin. So maybe it's to say good evening and welcome to the real meat of the program. And speaking of meat, I think the Balboa Bay Resort deserves another round of applause for dinner tonight. Well, tonight truly is a first. While it is the 70th Citizen of the Year announcement and celebration, it's the first Chamber Business Person of the Year celebration. And tonight, assuming you stay awake through the entire program, you will see what doing good for others really means. Tonight we honor two individuals, and while they may be different in life's activities and philosophies and philanthropic activities, they are very similar in both working to create the quality of life that all of us that live in Newport Beach enjoy. All of us that are residents, and as I like to say, non-residents that aspire to a better life. For our new award, the Business Person of the Year, our board of directors of the Chamber made the selection from a number of suggested candidates based upon the history and success in business and their contribution to the community. And when the nominations were made, there was a clear, unanimous vote. More specifically, the Chamber Business Person of the Year is to have qualities among the following characteristics: is a member of the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce, owns or is part of a Newport business or a company doing business in Newport Beach, a successful business person, and affiliated with other business leaders, involved in philanthropic activities, and a supporter of local community activities, and probably most important, serves as a role model for other business persons. And this year's honoree, Mr. Jim Walker, owner of the Bungalow Restaurant, is very much the honored recipient that meets these qualifications. So let's begin with a little audience participation. On the screen, you will suddenly see a question, and that will be followed by 3 potential answers. And So the question is, our business person of the year, Jim Walker, has crashed what kind of vehicle in the past? So answer A is 1 and 2, B is none of the above, and C is all of the above. So how many think it's A? Well, the 4 of you, hold on. How many think it's B? Well, that ended it. How many thinks it's C? Wow. You know, yes, it is true. Our chamber person of the year loves speed and paying high insurance bills. He's the only person that couldn't find the airport. Well, let's back up a little bit and take a look at Jim's life. Before going into the restaurant business, Jim was a very happy child. He was raised by a loving father and spent his younger years in Kentucky. That does explain some of it. Jim learned the elements of hospitality at a very young age and the benefit of service through being a good Boy Scout. Shortly before Jim's high school graduation, the family moved to Hollywood, and he began to work at Walker's, the family-owned and run coffee shop. And here we can see him with his parents, his dad watching the cash register. Jim also tried his hand in selling insurance. Oh, you don't know the half of it yet. And owning a fantastic Sam's hair salon franchise. This man knows how to dress for his market. Deciding to get back into the restaurant business, he worked in many to learn the trade. Herschel's Deli and Bakery was one of them. Also Safeway Cafe, Godfather's Pizza, El Torito, Cano's, and Alfie's Coffee Shops. And then the first restaurant he owned was Bessie Wall's, a restored mansion of historic nature in Anaheim. And then it was Domenico's Pizza in Long Beach, followed by Pasta Mesa in Costa Mesa, and of course, the Bungalow, which we all identify him with, and the Bungalow is celebrating its 23rd anniversary this year. Well, today, Jim is just as happy as he was back in Kentucky with his parents, with his life in Newport Beach, and his ability to travel the world and play golf. Jim learned the values of being active within his community, and for many years served as a board member of the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce and as its chairman of the board as well. He is an active member of the Commodores Club going on his 10th year, and he's a 2010 graduate of Leadership Tomorrow and the Police Department's Citizen Police Academy. Jim was an early participant when we created the Restaurant Association, and he was an absolute founder of Newport Beach Restaurant Week, which gets better every year. Now, I would ask you to listen to some friends of Jim that have some things to say. We have a short video, and so I would ask your attention to the screen.
first met Jim about 42 years ago, so we've been friends a long time.
I've known Jim now for, as long as he's been here in Corona Del Mar. I've owned the property down the street for over 30 years and had my business there, and got to meet Jim when he opened up, and he's a great guy, and we've enjoyed having him as a neighbor and as a friend of the city.
I first met Jim when I joined the Chamber of Commerce almost 10 years ago, and then subsequently served with him on the Chamber board when he was chairman.
Jim and I have known each other probably 10, 12 years on the outside of the restaurant business, and then in the last 5 or 6 years, we've really become close in our activities together through the Newport Beach Restaurant Association.
You know, Jim Walker has done an outstanding job for our community. Ever since he's come here, he's been very proactive. I knew him when he had his restaurant in Costa Mesa, and when he came here, he has added so much to the Corona Del Mar Business District with all of his energy, with improving the street, especially working with the city over the last dozen years and getting the boulevard here on Coast Highway at MacArthur widened, re-landscaped, adding front patios to several of the restaurants, and making it a really good community type feeling with street dining and neighbors talking. It's just been, you know, Jim is an unbelievable businessman. I just have the highest respect for him.
Jim, I believe, has had a really big impact on the community, especially for the restaurant industry. He's always been at the forefront of leading the way for improving the restaurant businesses, not just his own in town, but working very hard to ensure that other restaurants in town are also successful. And the Restaurant Association that he's been very involved with has really upped their game with his leadership of the association to improve the dining in Newport Beach as a destination place to come for locals and visitors to the community.
Jim is the type of business owner that leads by example. There's so many successful business owners here in the city of Newport Beach, but Jim has created a legacy of community involvement in our great city.
Yeah, Jim is an incredible natural leader. He's always encouraging and uplifting at our association meetings. I see him all around at various events. I think there's 2 Jim Walkers because he's everywhere at every event. He attends a lot of the city council meetings, and Jim puts his money where his mouth is, not only through his time, but financially giving as well.
Jim is really the ultimate restaurateur. I've learned so much from him, and just watching him and how he runs the bungalow, he has some core principles which I embrace. One is you treat your employees with dignity and respect. Doesn't matter if they wash dishes or what the job is, you always treat with dignity and respect. Secondly, you talk to your customers and listen to your customers and never think you know more than your customers. And lastly, you never take your eye off the prize. You always work hard. In Jim's case, even when the bungalow became one of the hottest, most popular, profitable restaurants in Orange County, you could still find him in the dining room going table to table talking to his guests. And I think those are some very important reasons why he's been so successful, and people want to be around that type of person.
You know, one of the strong points of the bungalow restaurant that I've seen over the years is that his staff, along with him, and the way they operate and they perform here, they give the neighbors a real bargain with great food, and the staff, his employees, the waiters and waitresses, are some of the top you'll see in the industry. They're helpful, and they just do a great professional job.
Jim has been successful in the restaurant business because he's hands-on and he's there. He's not a outside overseer. He is an upfront guy and has a great relationship with his customer base at every restaurant.
Jim embodies everything it is to be the business person of the year in Newport Beach. Most of us know him as a successful restaurateur, a philanthropist, a community leader, but certainly if Jim ever decides to change his day job, I think he'd be a great matchmaker. He introduced my wife, Sarah, and I almost 8 years ago, and for that, I'm forever indebted to you. Thank you, Jim.
When I read the criteria for this brand new Business Person of the Year award, it sums Jim up in a nutshell. He's in it. He participates in so many activities throughout town. I would say probably 8 out of 10 events that you go to, he has his restaurant, The Bungalow, participating in some way. and he encourages that for other businesses in the community as well.
You know, Jim, I just want to congratulate you on your hard work and the honor you're getting, and you deserve it. And you've just worked so hard for this community, and I've been watching it for decades. Thank you.
Congratulations, Jim, on being awarded Business Person of the Year through the Chamber. It's well deserved. Congrats.
Jim, I'd just like to say congratulations to you on this first nomination. I am not the least bit surprised that it was you that was selected to be the first named person Business of the Year. You are an example for many others to follow, and congratulations to you on this recognition.
Jim, I just want to say congratulations. I'm honored to be able to call you the Newport Beach Business Person of the Year. It's very deserved. You've been my best friend, my mentor, and my business partner, and I love the fact that we've stayed friends for so long, and I look forward to a lot of more years of our great friendship. So congratulations, and keep doing what you're doing.
Jim, on behalf of your fellow Commodores, the Chamber of Commerce, local business leaders here in the city of Newport Beach, we're so excited and proud to have you as our inaugural Business Person of the Year. Can't think of anyone more deserving. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our 2019 Business Person of the Year, Mr. Jim Walker. Helping with the presentation of the award, I'd like to have Sam Robbie, the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, come up and do the honors. Sam?
Just a couple things. Jim, I'm glad you came back to the restaurant business, first of all. I saw Jim earlier, and I said to Jim, hey, guess what, Jim? Your speech being cut down to 5 minutes, because I'm taking the next 10 minutes. He's like, no, you're not doing this. I said, Jim, seriously? All you need is 5 minutes. He said, Sam, that's enough for the first 9 years of my life. So we're looking forward to that speech. But Jim, congratulations. Well deserved. As Joe said, we can think of any person better than you to receive the first Business of the Year. We're honored and privileged to have you in our community. And I've been working with you for the last 6 years, and I've seen you in action. You care. You give your best. You give your all. And on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and everybody in Newport Beach, we certainly appreciate that. Again, congratulations.
Jim, there's also a resolution from the California Legislature signed by Connie Petrie Norris. I hear she represents us these days. And I've heard of her. Yeah. So we have this for you as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, she comes to the bungalow all the time.
Please.
Oh, thank you. Can I set this over here? You may. Thank you. Wow. Well, you completely destroyed my speech. Thank you so much. You know, I truly am very humbled. And as you can see, very moved. Okay, so let me begin here in a minute. I've got, you know, believe me, I worked on this forever. You know, I thought, you have to understand that, you know, being the first Business Person of the Year, obviously it's quite an honor, and I'm obviously very moved, but you have to understand with a name like Walker, you don't get first chosen very often. You know, it's not normal. So this caught me completely off guard. So where to begin? First, to relieve you, this is just the papers and suggestions from Rosansky. So Steve, I'll put these over here. Thank you for your help. They don't call him the biz mayor for nothing. But I know his intentions were good. Thank you, Steve. Okay, where to begin? Wow, thank you. Before I begin, I have to tell you that I totally underestimated this evening. Walking around this evening, and oh gosh, I'll get this straight. I'm not used to this. This is such an incredible community. And I was reminded tonight how close-knit we are, how our lives are so intertwined, and how we support each other. I applaud you, I applaud Newport Beach, and I am so blessed to be a part of it. Thank you. After I've written this speech, I'm thinking, oh my God, how do I cut this down? As Kay knows, I think I went through about 20 reams of paper. Fortunately, this is in 40-size font, so don't worry. First of all, obviously, I'd like to thank the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce, Steve Rosansky, or as he prefers to be called, the biz mayor, his staff, which, obviously tonight there are a lot of moving parts, and his staff, Jeff and everyone, have just done a magnificent job of putting this together, and I think so far they've done a great job, so thank you very much. I'd like to also thank the members of the Board of Directors of the Newport Chamber for choosing me as the first business person of the year. It's quite an honor, and it's something that, again, caught me completely surprised, and it'll be very special to me, as it currently is, and it will be for a long time. I know there's many people in this room tonight that are deserving of this award. In fact, I think anybody that's in business today deserves an award. Just the fact that you're here in support of this event and being a part of this wonderful community speaks to your success. I feel one of the great things about Newport Beach, and we kind of talked about it earlier, but one of the great things about this town is that we take the time to recognize and honor the accomplishments of our own. If you think about the Policeman Appreciation Breakfast, the Fire and Lifeguard Award, athletic and academic awards for our high school students, and certainly Citizen of the Year. What town does this? I think Newport Beach is unique and has so many great qualities. Speaking of recognizing others, I'd like to recognize some very special people that play a very large role in my life. My family. First, I'd like to recognize my daughter, Wendy Walker, her wife, Serena. Wendy just recently bought a home in Cathedral City in the desert. Congratulations, Wendy. And Serena, you get the award tonight, Serena, for coming the furthest. Serena flew in from her native Australia last night, so thank you for being here, Serena. Next, my daughter, Julie. My granddaughter, Madeline. My grandson, Luke. Luke just celebrated his 9th birthday last night. Happy birthday, Luke. It's the last time you're going to be in single digits, so value that. My son-in-law, Sergio. They live in the mountain community of Running Springs. And I just want to mention Sergio for a minute because Sergio's one of those people that recently got back from standing between the fires that ravage our communities and the people that live in them. Sergio is a fire captain in Long Beach, recently got promoted to battalion chief. And thank you, Sergio, for all that you do. Last, certainly not least, the woman that I met through the Newport Chamber, a woman that has or still is a member of every known charity and association near and far, my incredible wife, Kay. Kay just recently became a grandma, or as she prefers to be called, a Gigi. And by the way, next month, or actually this month, on the 21st of this month, Kay and I will be celebrating our 65th wedding anniversary. Now granted, I'm sure a lot of you are doing the math. We count the months. So, another milestone, sweetheart. So Wendy lives in the desert, Julie lives in the mountains, and Kay and I live near the beach. I think we've got California covered. Next, I'd like to introduce someone that was on the screen earlier, and you've met him, but Mike Rhodes and his wife, Laura, are here, way back there. And as Mike said, I met Mike when he was 19 years old, and he struck me as a really unique individual. He and I have been friends for 40 years. We've been partners for 16 in a restaurant called Domenico's Pizza in Belmont Shore. Domenico's has only been around for 65 years and has earned the distinction of being the oldest restaurant in Long Beach, the oldest Italian restaurant in Long Beach. Mike, thank you for your friendship. And thank you so much for the job that you do at Domenico's. Thank you, Mike. Next, my partner at the bungalow, Louis Feinstein and his wife, Lisa. We have a bungalow table, can you tell? Louis and I became partners, what, about 8 years ago, Louis? I know to him it seems longer. In addition to the bungalow, we also own and operate another restaurant in Brea called the Cedar Creek Inn. It's been a great partnership with Louis because I so appreciate that he does the majority of the work and I play the majority of golf. It works out phenomenally. But Louis, thank you for being such a great partner, for maintaining the quality and the integrity of both restaurants. Louis does a great job. I appreciate him more than he knows. Thank you, Louis. Next, the general manager of the bungalow, David Guerrero and his wife, Natalie. David came to work for me, about 8 years ago as a manager. He was young and still young. Thank you. He was younger. How's that? And so was I. David has developed into a real asset in handling the day-to-day operations. And David, thank you for the incredible job that you do. And also, happy first anniversary to you and Natalie. I didn't introduce he and his wife, but they did celebrate and get married once he started working at the bungalow, so we take credit for that. As was mentioned earlier, in July of this year, the 19th to be exact, I celebrated owning the bungalow for 20 years. The bungalow turned 23 last month in October. The bungalow and I owe a huge amount of gratitude to my staff and the members of that staff that have stuck with me through thick and thin for those 20 years. Two of my staff is here tonight, Sean and Eric. Sean sets the standard for service at the bungalow, and Eric is an amazing bartender. But in addition to Eric and Sean, I just want to mention the remainder of what we call the 20-year club at the bungalow, who is hard at work tonight, and I wish they could be here, but we couldn't afford to close the restaurant. But Marty, Linda, Bobby, Rogelio, Roberto, Ernesto, and Alfonso have been with me during this time. And without their support and their loyalty and their efforts, the bungalow wouldn't be where it is today. Thank you so much. There are so many people here tonight that have been instrumental in my life. I wish there was time to recognize all of you. Please know, I truly appreciate our friendship and your support. When I found out that I'd been chosen for this award, it got me to thinking, since I'm the first, I didn't have any guidelines, I didn't have any reference point, and I thought, what could I say that defines this award? I hope tonight that I pass on to you what doing business in Newport Beach for the past 20 years has taught me. I hope what I have learned and experienced will help or enlighten you in some way. What many of you don't know is the bungalow is not the first business that I've operated in Newport Beach. So with your indulgence, I'm going to take you back to a time in history in Newport Beach where the name Joe Stapleton was unheard of. In fact, I don't even think he was born. Oh, there he is. Hi, Joe. I know that's a stretch, but please bear with me. Several years ago, as was mentioned, I owned a small Italian restaurant on the corner of 17th Street in Orange and Costa Mesa called Pasta Mesa. After about 8 years, I sold Pasta Mesa to a company called Kookaroo. I decided at that point in my life, after being in the restaurant business all my life, I needed a change. I needed to do something different. So, in my ultimate wisdom, I bought 2 fantastic Sam's hair salons. To this day, I'm still kidded about that. I had one in LA and one here in Newport Beach on the peninsula. It wasn't too long before I realized I'd made a really drastic mistake. I was a fish out of water. After 2 years of trying everything I could do, watching my bank account go through a serious series of withdrawals, I knew I had to get out of the hair biz. I had to get back into what I knew best, the restaurant biz. The challenge of selling the salons and finding another restaurant opportunity seemed totally out of reach to me. But then I had one of what I like to call an and-then moment. I inadvertently found out that the owners of the bungalow wanted to sell. I thought, why on earth would these people want to sell such a neat restaurant in Corona del Mar? I wasted no time. This is my chance, my opportunity, my and-then moment. I met with the owners. I agreed that I would give them an all-cash offer if they would give me 90 days before they accepted any other offers. To my amazement, they agreed. I was really excited. But then reality hit. I didn't have the money. And I still had 2 salons. So, I've always believed, and I still believe, that if there's a will, there's a way. First, I went to a longtime friend of mine that bought the first restaurant I ever built, called Bessie Walls in Anaheim. His name is Phil DeCarian. Phil and I have remained friends for over 40 years. With Phil's help, we were able to convince 9 other friends to invest in the bungalow. Somehow I managed to sell the salons, get a loan from a bank, and cash in on a life insurance policy that I had to raise the money in 87 days. Phil, without your help, I would have never been able to make that deadline. I want to thank Phil and Roy and Al, Philip Jr. and Kevin, who are here tonight, for your friendship, your support, and being a part of the bungalow. On the 19th of July, 1999, I met the sellers at the bungalow. I handed them a check, they handed me the keys. It was a turning point in my life. Here I was, 55 years old at this point, had my ups and downs and lots of experience, but I was very much in debt. I had partners that I had responsibilities to. But I was excited to be back in my element, and I knew I had to make this work. Initially, when I took over the bungalow, we had some serious issues, as I'm sure Sean and the other people I mentioned remember. The chef had quit without notice. The kitchen was a mess. The food wasn't coming out right or in a timely manner. And the service was inconsistent. In addition, Gulfstream, Fleming's, and Banderas had recently opened, and sales were headed south. The first thing I had to do was right the ship. I went through 3 chefs before I finally found one that could solve the issues of the kitchen. Next, I worked on the front of the house and worked really hard to improve our service. Once I felt confident of our food and our service, I began the process of rebuilding the bungalow. I didn't have a lot of money to throw at advertising, and I didn't believe in discounting. But what I did know is that the best form of advertising is word of mouth. As the saying goes, sometimes you find the best resources in your backyard. So I decided I couldn't afford to wait for Newport Beach to come to the bungalow. I had to take the bungalow to Newport Beach. So I joined the Corona Del Mar Business Improvement District, or the CDM bid. I didn't know what a bid was, but I got invited to join. It sounded good to me. I saw their pamphlet that was Vision 2000, and I thought, wow, that looks interesting. So I joined, became a member of the board. I joined the Corona Del Mar Chamber. I joined the Newport Beach Chamber. I got actively involved in the Newport Beach Restaurant Association. Each of these organizations opened up a lot of doors. The bid, the Corona Del Mar bid, introduced me to a lot of local business people. I got to meet some of the residents. And after 16 years, we finally prevailed and got the widening of the sidewalk that today creates and provides the outside dining for the Bungalow, El Ranchito, and Rothschilds. The Corona Del Mar Chamber, I became a board member, got involved in the mixers, the luncheons, continued to meet people, and started participating in their events, particular Christmas Walk, which if you haven't attended, it's a great event in Corona Del Mar, and it'll be coming up soon on the 8th of next month. I joined the Newport Beach Chamber, which had a much wider range of possibilities. Between all the events that I mentioned earlier, I became a board member, went to the mixers, went to all the events, became chairman of the board, and ultimately, and today, I feel very fortunate to be part of the Commodores, which are seated back there, and my fellow Commodores, thank you for being here today and tonight. The Newport Beach Chamber has played a significant role in the success of the bungalow. But in addition to that, one of the benefits was I met my wife, Kay. I can't thank the Newport Beach enough for all of those things, but thank you very much. The Newport Beach Restaurant Association was in its infancy when I got involved. The NBRA, as we call it, is a bid sanctioned by the city and partly funded by the city of Newport Beach. Its primary purpose is to use the funds to market the restaurant community as a dining destination. Why is that important? In the past 10 years, the population of Newport Beach has barely grown by 1,000 people. However, the restaurant community has grown to 415 food service establishments with a seating capacity large enough to feed the city of Anaheim. The point being that there's just not enough residents in Newport Beach to fill all the seats of the restaurants that operate here. And without the marketing and the advertising that goes into it, the restaurant community would suffer. Fortunately, today, the Newport Beach Restaurant Association, with the support of the City Council and the marketing efforts of Gary Sherwin and Newport Beach and Company, create over $700 million per year in sales tax revenues, which equates to $7 million a year of revenues that go into the city fund. Restaurant Week, which we started way back when, has grown and developed into second biggest tax revenue creator next to the Newport Beach Christmas Boat Parade. I'm so proud and appreciative of how we've grown and how we've developed, and it's all been with the help of some of the people that you've seen and the participants that have taken their time to support this restaurant community. Thank you to the City Council, to Gary Sherwin, and to the community for supporting our industry. You know, being a part of all these organizations has not only been instrumental in the success of the bungalow, but for me personally, it's been an incredible experience. Getting to know the people of this town, the spirit of this community, you appreciate being here all the more. So what have I learned about doing business in Newport Beach for the last 20 years? Newport Beach is a bedrock of resources and a city that's filled with lots of opportunities. The title of Business Person of the Year, to me, is more of a reflection of the many people that helped me along the way, and the support from the community that has made all this possible. Thank you, Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce, for giving me this award, and thank you to the City of Newport Beach for the last 20 years of a life that has truly exceeded my dreams. In closing, I'd like to congratulate Nancy Gardner for this year's Citizen of the Year. I've had several opportunities to work with Nancy, and although she might be a woman of small stature, I can tell you she has the backbone of a giant. Nancy, it's so well deserved. Thank you. Finally, if you take nothing else from all that's been said tonight, I would appreciate you to remember just 3 words and repeat them morning, noon, and night. Eat out often. Thank you so much, Newport Beach.
Well, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Sam, for your help. Drum roll, please. It is time to celebrate the 2019 Newport Beach Citizen of the Year. For those of you that may not know, the Citizen of the Year is chosen at an annual luncheon by all of the past Citizens of the Year. This year we had several of the past Citizens of the Year in attendance, And at the luncheon, the decision was rapid and unanimous. I won't go into all the detail, but I'll give you what I think the most important points are as we look at a Citizen of the Year. It's not for giving of a single effort as much as it is a long-term, continued commitment to our community. It's for the one who says, sure, I'll do it, and then does it. And it's the one who says, Newport Beach is my home, my life, and its future is my future, and whatever I can do to make it better, I will do it. This year, the honoree is Nancy Gardner, who has been selected on the basis of her long-term tenacity in carrying the torch, giving back to our community. But first, a quiz. The question is, which of the following activities did our 2019 Citizen of the Year, Nancy Gardner, participate in willingly? Was it being photographed riding a 15-foot wave at the Wedge, attending 7 universities and colleges before receiving her degree, and riding her 8-year-old daughter on the back of her motorcycle, which she claims to be one of her most motherly activities? So, of that, who thinks it's D, all of the above? Well, I hate to break it to you, but it's C, 2 and 3. I think we have a picture of her riding the, oh, that's the wrong one. Made a mistake. The picture of her body surfing was not on a 15-foot wave. It was on a 20-foot wave. Never a dull moment in Nancy's life. She's inside that circle, believe it or not. Great marketing for the medical community. Nancy is a true native of Newport Beach, having grown up in the coastal waters. This happy little girl was destined to make a difference. Let's not forget, she also developed a very serious demeanor as well. Even today, she believes in Santa Claus. And at a very young age, she became a provider for food for the family. And she has personally ridden over every hill and dale in Newport Beach, past and present. That is, when she wasn't surfing. And after graduating, she taught school. And she was never afraid to be a little crazy. The serious Nancy entered the business corporate world with Butterfield Savings and Loan, where she was Senior Vice President for Marketing and Research, Century 21 Real Estate Corporation, where she was Director of Marketing, and the John D. Lusk and Sons Company Director of Special Projects. An early picture of her family, which includes her mother, her husband, who is here with her this evening, Jim Schweitzer, her daughter, Samantha, and her father. Her father was Judge Robert Gardner, very well known in the community, and also the 1968 Citizen of the Year. With her granddaughter, Cleo, she still can be convinced to act a little silly in public. Nancy's interest in the environment and protecting the quality of life in Newport Beach eventually led to her being elected to the City Council, where she served for 8 years. And she joined the ranks of mayor where she was able to direct the focus of the city on environmental issues, as well as streamlining government services and negotiating more sustainable labor agreements. Nancy has been a significant contributor to our quality of life through her continued involvement with the Orange Coast River Park Conservancy, Friends of the Newport Beach Animal Shelter, Natural Communities Coalition, and she was co-founder of the Newport Beach chapter of Surfrider Foundation, and later served as president on the National Board of Directors. Nancy has a few friends that would like to comment, so I direct your attention to the video.
I've known Nancy for a little more than 20 years. We've been neighbors and pet owners together in Corona del Mar, and that's the method by which I got to know Nancy.
I first met Nancy back in 2003 when we were working on the General Plan Update Committee together, and then also when she was on the Water Quality Committee and I was appointed to that on the City Council.
I met Nancy just after I retired in 2000, so it was a couple of years after that I met her. She was involved in the various aspects of the city even then with the General Plan Update Committee, and that was probably the first time I knew of her. I didn't really know her personally until after she got into the council race, and maybe a little bit before that, and I got engaged in helping her out in her election.
I've known Nancy from way back in the 90s. Her dad wrote for the Daily Pilot. He was just this great treasure we got for the Pilot. And who would know that, some 30 years later or whatever, I'd come across Nancy again, and Nancy would want to contribute to Stew News. And although I thought Judge Gardner was just this great writer over the years, I think Nancy is prolific in what she does. She has so much history. She has so much humor in what she writes and everything like that. And I know I get a kick out of it every week about her treasured thoughts of the past.
Well, Nancy was a collaborator. She worked very well with all the rest of the council members. She had a great knowledge of the water quality and the environment, which always contributed to the council's efforts. She was kind of our environmental conscience on the city council.
Nancy used the word I, but she didn't use the word the I in focus on herself. She generally said, I will take care of it, or I will do this. And that's what Nancy has been to me within the mini organization. If something needed to be done, she would just say, I'll take care of it.
She gets things done, and some people talk about getting things done and don't get them done, but she works really hard. None of us get everything done we want to do, but she works really hard to get things done.
She doesn't get involved in everything, so she doesn't lend her name all the time, but when she lends her name, it adds so much credibility to whatever she's trying to accomplish. And I think because she's not always out there with everything, when she does, people know it's important and people believe in Nancy. She was great for our city when she was a mayor, and she's been great in all sorts of leadership roles that she's undertaken.
She wasn't afraid to buck the majority or be the one person out and take a position. She didn't wait for other people to see which way the wind was blowing and then follow that. So she's her own person, and I think that also she represented her constituents well.
I think Nancy made a great impact on the community with her knowledge of water quality and the environment. She made a lot of contributions to the City Council and our programs and projects, and left an impact in the city in that way.
Nancy has impacted the community in several ways. We enjoy clean water and a clean ocean in which to recreate because of her efforts. We have a comprehensible and comprehensive general plan because of her efforts more than a decade ago and currently.
Nancy's had a really positive impact. You know, she gets involved in a lot of issues, but she's so unique in the way she did it. You know, she was a city council person that didn't say, hey, let's have a meeting, meet me in some conference room at City Hall. She would say, hey, meet me at the base of Buck Gully. We're gonna walk Buck Gully and we're gonna talk about what the needs are of the community while we're, you know, going up through this canyon and figuring out what's right and wrong with the canyon at the same time. So Nancy wants to get out into the community. She wants to see what's going on, and she's been very good about doing that.
People enjoy working with Nancy because she's very personable. She doesn't take herself too seriously, but she always takes her topic very, very seriously. She's always got the end game in mind and is always driving forward to the objective.
Well, I think Nancy deserves this award because of all the years that she's contributed to the community. She's been involved in so many different activities, from being on the city council to surf rider to the water quality committee, general plan committee. She's really worked hard and brought a lot to all the efforts that she's brought forth to the city council and to the city.
I bet you the one thing that no one knows about Nancy is that she's most admired for her mayor's speech. She, I believe, is known as the shortest mayor's speech that has ever been delivered in the State of the City speech. So I think we all appreciate Nancy's concise, precise, and very short speeches that she gives. So she's well deserved of this award of Citizen of the Year this year, and I congratulate her on that award.
Hey Nancy, congratulations on Citizen of the Year. Surprised you weren't already on the list, but it just goes to show you how important over the years the Gardner family, you're the second one there, and how important it is that you guys have been to our community, and it's nice to have you in the club, so congratulations.
Nancy, congratulations on this award. You were more than deserving of it.
Congratulations, Nancy, on being named Citizen of the Year. You've made a great impact on the community, and it's something you really deserve.
Congratulations and well done, Nancy. Now get back to work. We've got more to do.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our 2019 Citizen of the Year, the Honorable Mayor Nancy Gardner.
Hey, thanks you guys for those nice comments in the video. I'm sure some of you are wondering who were they talking about. Thank you to the previous recipients of this honor. It's really intimidating when you look at the list of names, except for Rush, of course. Thank you to the Chamber for the lovely dinner, and thank you all for coming out. It's very, very moving, really. I'd like to acknowledge some of my family that's here. My daughter Samantha, who did survive the motorcycle rides and didn't marry a Hell's Angel. My granddaughter Cleo. All right, it's Friday night, you're 15, where would you rather be than here, right? My husband Jim, who puts up with me probably because he goes camping half the time. And a shout out to Greg, who's back there someplace. You're always part of the family. There's no format for this, really, of the comments. So what I'd like to do is, instead of looking back, I'd like to look forward and take sort of a leaf from the mayor's dinner and say 3 things that I'd like to see accomplished in the coming year. Okay? Number 1, Orange Coast River Park. That's the area, all that open space alongside the Santa Ana River. Different owners, different agencies, none of whom seem to talk to each other. And the Orange Coast River Park Conservancy is raising funds to create a master plan so that area can really live up to its potential as a resource for the community. Number 2, the Newport Beach Animal Shelter is on leased land. The Friends of the Newport Beach Animal Shelter are raising funds to provide a permanent site to the city. And 3, the general plan update. We have a real challenge ahead of us. We have a state mandate of 4,800 new dwelling units, half of which are to be affordable. And if we're going to meet this challenge and retain the character that we all love in this city, then we're going to have to get out with more and more people than have ever participated than before. And so that's one of our goals, to really reach out and get those people who aren't in this room and who don't come to council meetings and get them to participate so we can solve this conundrum. And if I can move these things forward with my new august title of Citizen of the Year, then I hope that those of you who have honored me with this title will feel that your investment was not ill spent. Thank you.
Now, I would like to call Debbie Snavely, the General Manager of the Newport Beach Marriott Fashion Island Hotel Spa, to come up and help with the pinning.
Oh, I get a pin?
You get a pin. The classical gold with diamond pin.
Where is it?
Would you like to know where it is?
Oh, here it is.
Where are you?
Right here.
All right, there you are.
Thank you.
You're official.
There we go.
And the plaque, the award.
There you go. Look at that. Oh.
Thank you, Debbie. Now that you've done the warm-up, would you like to give your speech?
That was it.
Well, as we begin to close, there are some people that I think that deserve a great deal of thanks for this evening. Jeff Parker in the back, who puts this whole thing together in 24 hours. Our incredible chamber staff, and as much as I hate to admit it, Steve Rosansky, who is our godsent and in charge at this point in time. And I guess this is the part of the evening that you've all been looking forward to, because my only job is to wish you a good night and safe travels home. And I would hope that you would support our sponsors that we have, because without them we can't put on these kinds of programs, and would ask that you please come forward and greet and congratulate our Business Person of the Year and our 2019 Citizen of the Year. Thank you very much for the evening.